Hello and welcome back. It's time for Chit Chat with Two Teas. As usual, I am your host and counseling psychologist, JL Valdez. And with me today, now I know I always tell you all my guests are extra special, which they are. But today we have an extra special guest, Mr. Dominic Kalipersad. Yay. One day we will have a live audience to do that. But for now, you're stuck with me clapping in a circle. You. Welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We're so happy to have you.
But why?
Well, I know you don't like this word, but I'm going to say it anyway. You are an icon. Yes, look at you laughing, right?
That word is used so loosely in Trinidad.
But not with me. Well, not with me. Not when I use it. So, with my age range and above, who does not know that name? See, you would know.
I appreciate the sentiment.
Yes. And you are a face I grew up watching.
Thank goodness you grew up.
We'll see.
Or have you?
Still remains to be seen. But your face and your voice are synonymous with integrity, yes, and high-class journalism. Someone who knows what he's doing. Somebody that people listen to, and somebody who's not afraid to tell the truth or to ask the hard questions. So, I am very, very pleased and honored that you said yes to our invitation. And you came to South. That was the best part for me, really. So welcome.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. And thank you for saying yes. So we have our first segment, which is what's in your cup. All right. So maybe you can tell us.
You mean this physical cup?
This physical cup. We're going to start with the literal and then we move.
This physical cup is filled with love, hope,
Hello.
inspiration, direction.
And I thought it was Earl Grey. I mean, you were just, this is amazing. I love it. Is it
Tea is a symbol of hope, direction, purpose. It's worth sipping and brewing properly. And brewing properly. When we were ensuring that we got the tea, informed us that there's an art to brewing tea, which I'm going to practice from now on because I'll let you know I am one of those people just put the hot water in for 2 minutes, unless it's bush tea. No, life is about growth and life is also about enjoying the small moments.
Yeah.
And a properly brewed cup of tea
is one of those.
Is a joy to behold.
You all heard that? A properly brewed cup of tea is a joy to behold. I think I'm gonna have that emblazoned on something. I love it. So how long have you been drinking tea? Your entire life? Or is it something
I don't remember not drinking tea.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there was a time.
Because some people like tea.
But I also love coffee.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. So tea is not your be all and end all. Is it your preferred?
It is a common thread of my life.
Tell me more.
Well, it moves to calm you.
Yeah.
It gives you a spark in the day.
It does,
And it's a moment of sheer delight in a troubled world.
We're recording this. I was going to ask Ricardo if he's writing this down, but then I remembered we're recording it. So we have a lot. I think we're going to put some on a mug and send it to you. Would you like? That would be great. I mean, I love that. I've never thought about tea like that. I've thought about it bringing people together. So, but to say it's a shared delight in a troubled world.
It's tea, total.
What we need to get? Are you a spokesperson for tea? We need to get this.
I'm a teetotal.
You're a tea. I see what you did there. Play on words. Right? So apart from being a teetotal, what else do we not know about you?
Why would anyone want to know more?
Listen to me. We have you here as a whole guest. That means there are people who want to know more. If not people, person. Yes.
I'm a person. I'm a proud Trinidad Tobagonian. I am a multicultural, bilingual loyalist.
Okay.
What more is there to know?
That's amazing. A loyalist. Tell me about that.
Well, we perhaps arrived at a point in Trinidad that has been long in coming, where I don't think we sufficiently recognize how great we are and how much we have contributed to the success of planet Earth, to the growth of humankind. And it may be because the old British colonial way of education still pervades.
Absolutely.
And as a result, each generation is losing a sense of who we are.
Yeah.
And there has to be a way for us to recognize that we are more than just party central.
Yeah.
But the party is a celebration of the breadth of which we are.
Have you said that before? That was amazing.
I'm surprised that the word is coming out of my mouth.
No, because
I'm surprising even me.
you see, I told you you'd like it here. I told you. I think a lot of people try to express that sentiment, but that is probably the best encapsulation of it that I heard.
Okay,
Yeah.
Shall I trademark it?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, okay.
After we make the money. So I think that is beautiful, and I think that sense of patriotism that you have, because that is also how I would describe it, that has been woven throughout your career. So for those who don't know, and I don't think many people don't know, Mr. Kalipersad is a renowned journalist. Many of us grew up with his face on TV6 News, and at the time, TTT.
But that's where I started.
That's where you started. So in my time, it was, by the time I came, it was TV6. And there's that authoritative voice that would always come on for news time, where you knew you had to be quiet and pay attention, not just because your parents told you to, but because you wanted to hear what he specifically had to say. Because if you said it, it was true and it was right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quite a responsibility.
I mean, it was okay. You didn't know.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I mean, if Dominic Kalipersad said it, then, of course, we were not at the time of that we are now with the proliferation of social media, and anybody could be an expert. But I think at that time, news anchors in general did carry a specific responsibility because we trusted them.
Yeah, well, I stand on the shoulders of people like Ed Fung, Yusuf Ali, those people from the earliest newscasters, Neil Giuseppe, who imbued in new television news anchors that sense of professionalism and sense of purpose and responsibility.
Yeah.
So that has carried me throughout my career.
And was Jones P. Madera, was he your colleague, or did you?
Yes, we worked at TTT for a time.
And those are again names that you grew up hearing. I actually thought for a long time his name was Jones P. Because it's the entire name. So tell us a little bit about how you decided to get into journalism, because how does one decide this is what I'm going to do?
Well, I am the accidental journalist.
Oh, the best kinds.
It was not on my cards at all. I had intended to be an educator.
Okay, I can see it.
And in fact, I was a school teacher.
Secondary or primary?
Primary school.
Okay.
Love primary school teaching. And there came a time when the Prime Minister at the time, Dr. Eric Williams, announced that he was going to change what was then Channel 9 into educational television. And a light bulb went off that the future,
Wow.
teaching beyond the classroom.
Teaching beyond the classroom. Mm-hmm.
You know, a la Sesame Street, Electric
Yes.
Company, and so on. And I thought, wow, that's really the way in which we should be imparting knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to study television, and when I came back, quite coincidentally, there was a television production summer program being offered at UE.
Mm-hmm.
And nerd that I was, I said, okay, I'll go and do it. And I went and did that course. And in that course was a lot of people who became very important afterwards. But anyway, the final exercise we had to do was to create our own television program. Each participant had to do that. And we had to go to TTT to record it.
Okay.
So I went and I did mine. And when I was finished, as I exited the studio, someone from TTT came to me at the door and said, "Wouldn't you like to work here?" And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Can you start tomorrow?"
Can you start tomorrow?
And I was young.
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay." And I came to work the next day, not having resigned from the Ministry of Education yet. And then it occurred to me, wow, I should do it. And I sent off a letter. And so I started to work at TTT. I didn't even know what the job was.
So wait, what was the job?
Well, it turned out they put me to work as a technical operator,
Okay.
working the cameras, editing, lighting the studio, and so on. Nothing I'd ever thought about, and turned out to be very useful
Yes.
in the long run.
Yes.
But within months of being in the studio, again, someone came to me and said, "You shouldn't be working here, you know, you should be in the newsroom." I presume because of the way I spoke or presented myself or whatever.
The voice.
And so I went up to the newsroom and started a whole new career.
So
So I hadn't planned it, but it happened.
serendipity at its finest.
Whatever one chooses to call it.
What was the transition in terms of the length of time between moving from technical to in front of the camera?
Oh, in those days you learn by the fly, eh?
Oh, so they would throw you into the deep end.
Well, yes, I can't remember what was the training like, and I presume there was some training. But I do remember the first story I went to cover on my own was a suicide whereby a woman had climbed a tower on Independence Square and threw herself to the ground. So my first story was seeing brains splattered on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
And I presume it was then that I developed the habit of distancing emotion
Yes.
from the story. Because I think that first year I also had to cover a fire in Diego Martin in which 2 babies burned to death, and you saw their frames in the mattress and so on. So you know, I learned early to not be personal, not let your reporting be personal, and detach the emotion.
What did that experience do for you? So your first story to cover is the suicide. You had a choice at that point in time afterwards to say, well, I don't know if this is for me, but you continued. I mean, a suicide is not an easy thing to manage.
It was a story.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I had to deliver, and I delivered. But you see, I developed the skill of separating emotion from the story that had to be told, and that also proved to be useful when one had to do other kinds of stories, being political or otherwise. I'm very good at compartmentalizing.
Right.
Where my mind ought to be. Good stress management.
So how long would you have been working at TTT before the coup happened? Do the maths.
Uh, uh, 15 years, maybe 20.
Okay, so you were there for some time.
Yeah, I was there for some
Okay,
time.
all right.
Because that was in the 70s and the coup happened in 1990.
Okay, okay. How was that experience for you? So you actually became part of the story.
Well, let me tell the story in a different way.
Please.
Since you seem to like to laugh. The evening in which the gunmen entered the studio, we were unaware. They came, they held the gun to us. They ordered us to sit on the ground in a corner. Of course, we were terrified and so on. But remember, this was after 6 o'clock.
Right.
Or somewhere around 6 o'clock, I think. And the news is at 7.
Yes.
At the time, I was the lineup editor who put together the actual program and went to the studio and presented the news. So while we are sitting on the ground, cowering in fear, I am looking at my clock and thinking, the news will be late. And I am thinking, my God, I'm sitting on the biggest story ever.
Yes.
Because one had no idea that this would last beyond the evening.
Yeah.
I thought, well, they do what they have to do, and
then
I have my story to tell.
Right.
So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I won't have time to type, to write the story. So I better practice what I'm going to say. So I'm sitting there and I planned out how I'm going to start Panorama News.
Of course.
And I would have said, good evening. If we seem a bit nervous tonight, it's because there are gunmen in the studio. I remember it to this day.
Wow.
And then when Abu Bakr came and they took us into the studio, I went with my notepad. And he was talking to the camera, threatening the nation. And I was at the edge of his desk taking notes because I had to have the facts for the story. Of course, it went on longer than we thought. And I lost the notes.
Oh.
No, it's not funny.
Listen to me. So you are cowering in fear, as you said, and you are thinking, my God, the news is going to be late. I have to get this story.
Well, I mean, I'm a journalist. I was a journalist.
You were a journalist.
So, yeah. Oh, my God. How foolish of me.
Listen to me. Well, I mean, you were really focused on your job. This says a lot about you.
Well, so the first death threat in my life. Not only the obvious one, but there came a time when the government was negotiating for the release of a lupus hostage, and all kinds of things were happening of which I'm unaware. And it would appear that at the time when they had regained control of the airwaves, and Alison Hennessy was on the air.
Rest in peace.
I'm presuming that because they thought that if they got Dominic Kalipersad and put him on the air, the country would have a sense of they being back in control. So they asked for my release. At which time all of us were sitting in a small room around a bomb, or at least what we were told was a bomb. And John Smith came to me and he said, Dominic, they've asked for your release. And I don't know where the courage came from. Remember, I'm a small man. I don't know where the courage came from. And I turned to Jones and I said, Jones, I'm not leaving here unless everybody leaves. Why did I just say yes and say that loud?
Hello.
But years later, it was told to me by Jones and by Raoul Panton, who were the main people in the back talking to Abu Bakr and the negotiators and so on, that Abu Bakr and his men had decided if I had agreed to leave, I would have been shot at the door. Because they felt that I secretly arranged for my departure or whatever. So they had decided to shoot me at the door. But I tell the truth, I don't know where that courage came from.
It comes when we need it the most, clearly.
Well, somewhere. I was blessed.
Indeed. And you don't think anybody would read the book?
Yeah, but that's just what book? What book are you talking
The book
about?
that we're going to write. So I'm trying to get them to
Oh,
write
well,
the
yes,
book, guys.
you can write the book.
Okay.
It's a great moment in the movie, but
Indeed.
it's just 2 pages in a book.
I mean, well, so what, are you saying we should make the movie? Because we could do that. I mean, I always said that Westwood Park went, but we have real life things here.
I mean, that may have been a dramatic moment,
Yeah.
and there were certainly interesting moments, but generally, my life has been comparatively boring.
I mean, comparing it to that, I'm sure, but to the rest of us, maybe not.
Well, that's just one moment in time.
Yeah. So you're enjoying the quiet at this point in time?
Oh, absolutely. I've retired officially from the job, but not from working.
Right.
But I do enjoy being in control of my own time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you moved from TTT. Was it right after the coup where you're like, I can't?
No, about a year later,
Okay.
I moved to Trinidad Broadcasting Company, which you would call Radio Trinidad, as a news executive in the news department. And then I was promoted to program manager, where I had to program about 3 or 4 radio stations at the time, which I so enjoyed. It was new to me, but I so enjoyed it. And then I moved, I think, TV6 as head of news. Then I moved to the Trinidad Guardian, where I became editor-in-chief. And then I went back to CCN TV6 as group head of news. Mind you, I've never asked for a job in my life. I've never applied for a job.
Oh. That's because your work speaks for itself.
I've been asked to join the team.
Do you know, well, you may be aware that in the entertainment industry abroad, there are people who they say they have the EGOT. Those are the people who have Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and Tonys. So you essentially have the EGOT in journalism because you did television, print, radio. So without ever having to ask for a job, mind you. And internet, because now you have such a strong social media presence. You're on Instagram.
I don't quite know how to respond to that.
I think it's amazing because, again, this is not something that you sought out. This was just
no. I just conducted myself in a way of being the best that I could be. That I could be.
Yeah.
Whatever came after that, well, it's not my fault.
It is.
Huh?
It kind of is.
My fault, yes.
It kind of
No, I just wanted to be the best at whatever I'm capable of being.
I think that's amazing.
Doesn't necessarily make you friends along the way. But,
really not, but you seem to be okay with it.
Well, yeah.
So, we're talking about your work. You're progressing. You're doing quite a lot. Between TTT after the coup and then moving on to the next phase of your life, right after that experience, how were you mentally and emotionally? Because we know Caribbean men, it's not the norm for them to open up about how they feel, but that highly stressful, highly traumatic situation.
Yeah. I think the government failed us in that it, apart from a visit by a psychologist, or was it psychiatrist? I can't remember, which seemed to be tokenism.
Okay.
Because I can only remember one session, may have been, I don't know what it is. And that session, I didn't feel that I was honest, in that I felt I needed to reflect still being strong.
Yes.
and I didn't express any fear. So he may well have had a false report about what was my reaction, because there were other people who had come out of the attempted coup situation who were damaged psychologically. I wouldn't call the names, but people know who they are.
Yeah.
And they didn't fare very well. I thought I came through it all right, although my wife tells me that I did toss and turn for quite a while afterwards. But I don't know. But so I have no idea how it affected me, except that from a young person, I've always spoke to myself. I always analyzed my behavior. Too much, so it's annoying. So I think I sort of. I've only ever done one interview about it. This is probably the second time I'm even talking about it. Maybe the third time. But I think I directed my mind to focus on what's important in life: family, love, career.
Purpose.
And so, yes, give yourself a purpose. And maybe that helped me to overcome it. I don't know.
I mean, I think so. I think you definitely worked through a lot, and in mental health, even today,
but
that's
something,
what we would suggest.
Something quite likely is there, because whenever there's a video that comes up, I do feel my heart palpitate a bit.
Yes.
You know, but not in a damaging kind of way.
Some residual effects.
Well, in that I think it may be, or it may be that people like to talk about it too much.
Yeah.
As though that is the be all and end all of your life, and let's live life.
It's 30 plus years now.
Exactly.
But like every year they want to do a special on it.
Yeah, well, I've declined all interviews.
Yeah. Smart. I like that. Except, anyway. Right. So you've done so much in this entertainment world, and you are still very much a public figure for all intents and purposes.
I find it interesting you place me in the entertainment world.
Journalism.
That's rather interesting.
Yeah. I guess I'm on the cusp where the two intersect quite often, generationally.
Well, that's an error, I think, being made even by too many people among the current crop of journalists.
Yes. I think so.
But mind you, there are entertainment reporters, entertainment journalists.
Would you define yourself as an investigative journalist?
Oh, no. I was just an ordinary journalist.
Ordinary?
A run-of-the-mill journalist.
Disagree.
I mean, I have done my share. But, No, I think the kind of person I wanted to be as a human being, and consequently as a journalist, was to be knowledgeable about as many things that I could. So I knew about music, politics, the arts, whatever. So I could have been an entertainment reporter today and a political reporter tomorrow. I wasn't confined to any one beat. Although I think that in the current global environment, the media, let's talk about the local media, perhaps there's a more of a growing need for specialist reporters.
Okay.
So that a journalist can talk from an informed and credible position. We're still operating in the old method where you do a crime story tomorrow, you cover a political story the next day. There's so much information that's available now. One ought not to expect one person to
do everything,
to know it all.
Yeah.
So sometimes they cannot put events or statements in context for it to make sense. They may talk about a Caroni worker who's still suffering, and they have no concept of the story of Caroni.
Right. Yeah.
And why it was closed down, and why the sugar collapsed, and so I think there's a need for. I mean, we do have some of it. We have business reporters, financial reporters. But wouldn't it be great if we have a technology or AI specialist reporter,
I feel like it's
given what is happening? But also, given the growth in information platforms, traditional medias may well be in survival mode.
I think so.
Because the traditional income streams are changing.
Yeah.
And who knows if television would exist in the next 50 years. Radio certainly will.
Right.
I think that newspapers were dying.
Yeah.
Especially with the environmental movement about killing trees to make paper and so on and so on. And then Trump came on the scene and he created a lot of news, and newspapers reawakened.
They're back.
He saved the newspaper industry.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It became hot news.
Hot news. Do you feel, with Amy, you mentioned AI, do you think that that can replace a good journalist?
It can perhaps replace reporters. Journalists, no.
We're going to put that on the mug too. Yeah.
But then who can predict the future?
Who can predict the future, yeah.
We are still at the embryonic stage of this technology. So what exists today, I don't expect would be the same in 10 years.
If so long.
So, it's like when television first came on the scene, introduced in London, the people at the time thought this would be the death of culture. This would be the death of society.
Yeah. Here we are.
So we have a fear of things that are new.
Yeah.
When Elvis Presley came on the scene and he was wiggling his hips, oh, the moral decay of society, all over the la 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 la.
If they only knew.
So it's about adapting to change and innovation. So I don't think there's anything to fear. I don't think there's anything to fear. We just got to adapt and innovate.
Would you consider yourself an adaptable person?
Oh, definitely. I've done that throughout.
I think so. And being as involved in all these various areas of journalism and just living as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, I imagine that there are some things that maybe annoy you. And so that leads us to our other segment, which is what boils your water? What are some of your pet peeves?
Tardiness. Top of the list.
Oh, yeah.
Tardiness.
He's nodding. Yes.
I detest lack of punctuality. Speaks volumes about your character. Tardiness reflects disrespect for your host. It reflects a lack of respect for self. That's my biggest peeve.
Understandable.
Which correlates to my second peeve, waiting.
You hate to wait.
Let's get it done.
Let's just do it.
Now, if waiting is part of the process of getting to the action, fine.
Okay.
But to sit
idly.
Now, thank God the world has adapted and you have a smartphone.
So you can keep busy.
So you can keep busy.
But previously.
But those are really my top pet.
Yeah. I understand that. And is there anything that you're seeing, even in the journalism field or just in life, apart from that, that's annoying you right now?
Or there are too many people alive now for me to say.
What? Okay.
But if I can speak in general terms.
Speak in general terms.
There are some at the forefront, not all and not many, who appear to have the focus in the wrong place. And it's more about self than in the work. even if they think it's otherwise. That's the way it comes across.
Yes.
There's also a lack of appreciation for the tool of your trade, which is language.
Wow.
So you see a lot of grammatical errors.
Yes. Yes.
Which reflects your disrespect for self and your disrespect for the consumer.
That's one of my pet peeves.
So I think those are probably the two.
I heard somebody say once publicly, they spoke about license being the singular and license being the plural. I'll never forget it.
Well, it's because even the teachers who they're tutors at school don't know. It is because of the failure of the education system that produced those teachers that in turn produce those children.
And then
as for instance, a teacher would tell you AIR and EAR are pronounced the same. And she's teaching you wrong. She could teach you that they are similar in sound, but not the same in sound. One is air and one is ear. So they've taught you wrong. So it's not that person's fault. It's the fault of the system that produced that.
Did you study? I know you mentioned studying abroad.
Well,
did you study in England?
Yes, I did, and I worked there for a short while, but it's not because of that. I had a very, very wise mother. Afro-Venezuelan mother married to an Indian man.
So you're fluent in Spanish? You mentioned you're
No. I'm fluent in the King's English and in Trinidadian Creole.
Oh, I love that. So I am also bilingual.
You're bilingual.
Yes.
There's syntax and grammar for Trinidadian Creole.
You know they're learning that in school now?
Well, yes, but it appears that that's all they're learning.
Oh my goodness.
So,
coming
but no, my very wise mother, who never went to secondary school, but had the wisdom of I don't know who, insisted that her children have high standards from the kitchen table to the schoolroom. So she insisted on good manners, good speech, and dressing properly.
Which to this day you seem to uphold.
Well,
Are you speechless, Dominic Kalipersad?
I'm creating my own language.
Trilingual, coming soon. Yes, I think that's quite important. And you can hear, you've always been very deliberate, very measured. I've never heard you rush, ever. Like in your speech.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why rush? Why rush for anything? Get it done.
Just get it done.
And show pride in it. So.
A lot of us don't do that, I think. We don't have a lot of pride in what we do or who we are these days.
Well, it's probably because, yes, we're lazy or we don't know why we're doing it. We haven't given purpose to our lives. I have a daughter who is in the beauty industry and has dedicated her life to it and is very good at it and has a sense of purpose. Whatever the obstacles are, there's a sense of purpose and there's value to the work. So if you give value to the work, then you would enjoy it and you would take your time. And every time you have a task, it's a treasure.
Well, you're reframing my perspective for sure, because when I see tasks, I see tasks. So
Well, yes, task is such an ugly word.
you're
But
helping me see value
yeah,
in it.
yeah.
I mean, of course, we know there's hindsight
There's
is
task
2020.
and task.
And task. And hindsight is 2020. When you look back, you might say, okay, I understand how that challenge helped me grow. Or I understand the value in that. But sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it feels like task.
You're human. You're human. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, you're not perfect all the time.
I mean,
but when it's hard, the result is worth it.
Yes. You feel
otherwise
a sense of
you just
satisfaction.
skim through life and
Yeah. Well,
even if life is easy and you've been given the golden spoon, you still should give it your all.
You should give it your all. I think sometimes the process is difficult for us now, because a lot of people, we're in the instant gratification era. So working towards something seems so much more difficult sometimes, because we're accustomed to things at our fingertips.
Well, I don't intend to become one of those old men who criticize young people, what they're doing and how they do it.
Thank you.
I would prefer to think, instead of mumbling and grumbling about the era of instant gratification, try to figure out how do we make that work for them,
right?
And how do they make it work? So to distribute the information is no longer effective in long form. They take it in short bursts.
Yes.
So if that's what works,
make it work.
Make it work.
Get it done.
Get it done. So the world is not what it was 10 years ago. So the art of learning and the art of teaching and the distribution of information is different.
Yeah.
So it's a good word that sums it up.
Yeah.
You know what that word is?
Tell me.
Duh.
That was also not the word I expected.
People don't think I have a sense of humor.
I mean, we've never gotten to see that side. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's nice. It's refreshing. You're reachable. You're approachable.
I see.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have the typical Kalipersad face.
What is it? Typical Kalipersad face.
It's my what do you call it? Resting face. Yeah, my resting face. Yeah, we all have that serious resting face. So sometimes when I'm out in public, I have to remind myself, Dominic, look more approachable, smile, because the serious resting face makes you look haughty and unapproachable. So I have to.
Well, I don't think you owe anybody that, to be fair.
No, I don't owe it. I don't owe it. But
But this is
we want to be kind.
Yes.
Or at least appear to be kind.
And this is good.
So yes, because I'm and I'm thinking lovely thoughts, but my face is serious resting face.
Well, we appreciate this. Duh. I like the word. We're gonna use that again. So you're in this period of your life. You said you've retired from the job, but not from the work, right? What does that look like for you?
Well, for me, my daughter hates to hear this, but to me, life is about constant learning. And it doesn't have to be heavy stuff, but it's about, whenever I'm on the radio, I'm switching from talk station to talk station.
She can't stand that.
No, I listen to the BBC a lot. They have wonderful programs on BBC World that runs from music to opera to science to politics. But
all your interests.
Well, even things that I should have an interest in. So yes, it's about absorbing little bits of information.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to rap too.
Listen to rap?
Yeah, I mean, why not? It's there.
Who do you like?
Well, let me call names because people have a poor opinion of me.
I think there's some ratchet that's going on, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
But it's really about appreciating everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Life
let's
is
celebrate
nice.
us.
Yeah.
You know? So every moment is a learning. Like, this is my first time in this location.
Yay! 519.
You know, and I'm impressed.
Nice.
So that's a nice moment.
I think so. I like how you're also matching the decors. It's like you've been here before.
Wow.
Maybe. You were meant to be here today.
Well, you know, blue and gray are safe colors.
Oh.
So.
Well, you did a good job. Well done. So throughout all of this, because your work has been heavy at times,
Yeah.
you know, emotionally taxing, stressful, I imagine. You have a lot of deadlines to meet in that field. How would you manage your mental health? What are some of the things you would do to relax?
Music. I enjoy a broad range of music. I like jazz. I like old R&B.
Like rap.
I love classical music. So it's a range. It depends on the mood.
Yeah.
Music. When my children were younger, I used to enjoy taking them to art exhibitions.
Okay.
And there was a time in Port of Spain, there were lots of art galleries. In fact, just last weekend, I think it was,
Y'all went to one?
I went to an art exhibition.
Is Dominic's daughter, and she's gay.
Yeah, so music. In my retirement, I have awakened a long-held interest in learning more about Trinidad and Tobago's history and the great people who emerged out of Trinidad. So I'm thoroughly enjoying doing that research and writing about it. I'm not a historian. So yeah.
So
I used to like to dance.
You used to like it when you were young?
Well, no one likes to see an old man dance.
That's not true.
You know.
That's not true. What kind of dance? Well,
No. Well, whatever was hip at the time.
Hello.
I mean, hello. You know.
You should do
But
it.
young people don't dance anymore. So dancing like that is a joke. Now they don't dance when they go clubbing. They're liming and chatting, which is fine.
Yeah.
But there's no dancing, I'm told. Because I'm not there to see.
We should bring it back. Let's bring back the dancing.
No, my back is. Bring my back.
Yeah.
Bring me back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Bring back the dancing for you.
No. You know, age appropriate.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. So you're essentially saying to me that the ways that you take care of your mental health is to learn some more and do more work. Because that's what you just said. Research.
But the music also, yes, the music assists me in staying calm,
Right.
in thinking nothing. I think men are better at thinking nothing than women are, but let's not go there.
I would agree.
In thinking nothing, but also in zeroing on perhaps something to take you in a Zen place.
Right.
You know, and God, in my career, I've needed to be Zen because
Definitely.
Journalism can be extremely stressful.
Yes.
Not only because of the nature of gathering information, of being a watchdog on the authorities, but also working in a competitive environment.
Oh.
And I've only worked in media houses that have been number one.
Right.
And it was my responsibility to keep it number one.
Yeah.
And that was stress.
I would imagine so. You had a lot of people coming for your spot, trying to get your job.
Oh, I never thought anyone would ask me that.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay.
and I acted as if I didn't know.
Well done.
I treated them royally.
Yeah.
Never displayed any sense of weakness or fear. Because I knew every day on the job I was doing my best.
Yes.
Come better. Can you come better? So yes, I faced it. Jealousy.
Yeah. Because
spreading rumors.
Yeah.
Life is full of positives and negatives. It's par for the course.
Yeah. So do you feel, in terms of having to manage that, was it difficult for you to kind of suss out who was genuine from who was not genuine?
You know, human beings which quite often reflect their true self without even knowing. So because from a young person I was a keen observer of people. I did theater. I was an actor as a young man.
And secrets?
And that theater experience taught me, or allowed me to learn, the art of reading people. So I didn't have to do any investigation. The way in which you spoke, the way in which you carried yourself, the way in which you interacted, or you may be speaking, or the way your eyes shifted, or spoke a lot.
Yeah.
So I knew.
And you just
went with the flow. But that's part of life. It happens in people professionally, personally. And I knew that was their problem. It wasn't my problem.
Wow.
It was their sense of insecurity, lack of fulfillment, unfulfilled ambition. What do you do to make the ambition a reality? It isn't tearing down somebody else. So it's your problem, not mine. I got the job. I didn't ask for it. I've never applied for a job.
Never ever.
So that was their problem, it wasn't mine.
I'm sorry, are you the psychologist here? Because that was pretty good analysis, sir.
I think I would have.
You would have been amazing.
I would have been a good psychologist.
I think so too. Yeah, you also have the look. Exactly. Tammy's not impressed, but that's okay. I'm very impressed. Yeah, that's spot on. I do believe a lot of people do struggle with that. Not taking someone's treatment of them personally. People struggle.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because they're looking for the validation too.
Yeah. You know, I'll give you a sort of related incident. There was a government minister who was very unhappy with some of the stories that we did, and wrote letters of complaint to my CEO frequently. And there was a time when I had agreed for him to do a live interview, and we had agreed on what we were going to talk about. And during the interview, he started to almost campaign. So I stopped the interview and pulled him off the air.
You didn't.
And he was mad, and he complained to my CEO, and thank God CCN is really an independent news organization. And the CEO said to him, "That's my head of news's decision. So, you know, I'm not involved in that." But years, and he complained about me for a long time. Years later, now I saw it as part of the work. It was, as I said, was never emotional. It was a professional decision. Years later, he called me, and Dominic, let bygone be bygone. I said, "Mr. So-and-so, you did what you thought you had to do, and I did what I had to do. No problem." And then he said, "Remember all those interviews I did, and all those, I could get a copy?"
Favors.
So I said to him, well, he wasn't a minister at the time, although I still refer to him as, I said, "You know, you're a businessman.
Yeah.
And you sell products. CCN is a business too, so I'll send you the invoice.
That's right.
He said, "Oh, never mind. I don't want it again."
Oh, he thought it was going to be $3.90.
Well, that was a pre-digital age,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Wow. But I also think it speaks to you and your reputation, what you have done. That CCN was like, that's
Well, I don't think really was me in that instance, but I mean that really is an independent organization that in which the suit and ties don't affect editorial decisions, which is perfect.
Do you have a favorite space in your journalism career that you look back on with the fondest of memories, whether it was print or TTT? Don't worry, we won't tell anybody, so the rest won't be jealous.
I enjoyed them all. I really did. I really did. There is an art to bringing out a newspaper where at least the way in which I did it, there was a joy in helping reporters craft or improve their stories. I love being an actual sub-editor, do the sub-editing, punctuation, working with the sub-editors, designing the front page, which is a big thing, designing front. So I loved the newspaper work. Television, oh my goodness. The breadth of work that you can do, the opportunities to be innovative in the delivery of the product, to have products within the products. I don't see those kind of things happening anymore, but those were great. Remember things that make you go, huh, or say what, and so on. Such a joy, coming up with an idea for a story or feature. Amazing. Thrilling because the audience, the consumer of the news would value it and understand it. But there's something about radio.
There's a spark in your eye right now.
There's something about radio that, because it's so immediate, and because there's immediate contact with the listener.
Yes.
Well, I'm not talking about contemporary radio,
He's clear.
But I remember there was Hurricane Brett. I think it was Brett. And we were on the air live. And to be able to communicate with the audience, their experience and what was happening live. I also remember being part of the team that created the first inter-regional live news magazine program.
Wow.
Live on a Sunday. Each country would produce their features, and then we would talk to one another. Barbados, Grenada, St. Vincent, Trinidad. Never been done before, never been done again. Under the leadership of Jones P. Madera. Oh, really, really great stuff. And then as a radio manager, with which I had no experience, but I loved music and loved radio, and having to program different radio station of different music personalities, and getting the staff involved in the decision making. That was
good for you.
Really, really. Oh, the radio is superb. But now it's just about, I don't know what it is.
You and me both, buddy.
Well, I don't know what it is. That doesn't mean it's not good.
No, and I don't
not bad. I just don't know what it is. It's perhaps it serves the information needs of the consumer of today. Maybe it does.
I think now a lot of the same calling programs, like on the morning shows and stuff like that,
Well, it would be nice if some of those hosts are better read and more informed about what they're talking about.
Just a little bit.
But
Yeah.
You know.
But that connecting with people, the immediacy.
Well, maybe that station is not for you. You
Yeah.
might be suited to another station. That's what I'm saying. It may well be serving the information need and style of the consumer suited for that station.
Yes.
See how kind I can be?
I'm looking at you. Very well done. So you definitely have a career that has spanned, various forms of media all these years. You claim you're retired, I put that in inverted commas. There's a value that we, as listeners and viewers and readers, have received over the years, and that has been, I think, encapsulated by the fact that you are a national award holder, Order of the Republic of Trinidad, for example.
Oh my goodness!
Am I speaking that in Texas?
Oh,
maybe I know something you don't know.
No. Oh. Well, no, it is the Hummingbird Medal Gold, the third on the list. Yeah.
You want me to write a letter?
Well, I don't have the ego to make such a request.
I know that you don't, and generally, that is one of the things that has been really refreshing for me here today. You are really humble. You're a truly humble person. You do not make a big deal about yourself, but we have to make a big deal about you. We have to.
Do you have to?
We absolutely have to.
I mean, it's nice.
We have
but
to give your flowers.
You don't have to.
We have to.
Well, yes, I do like a good gardenia.
Do you? Now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know. Gardenia tea, say less. Say less. But do you? I know those things. While you appreciate them, they're not at the top of your list.
No.
But
not
when
important.
you found out that you were going to receive that national award, how did you feel?
I don't know if I even remember. It was it was just so odd because apparently it was during the pandemic time.
Yes.
And it was a 2020 award received in 2022.
Right.
So the luster had sort of disappeared. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean that one doesn't appreciate the value of it.
Yeah.
But the luster had sort of gone. You couldn't bring your family.
Right. So they can share
in the moment. Oh, it was,
Yeah.
I really would have liked my wife to be there. She had to be looking at it on TV, or my children to be there. So, but on the other hand, it isn't. I don't think there are many journalists who would have received that honor.
Yeah.
And so I am honored.
Okay. And you also have an honorary doctorate.
Imagine that.
Look at that. Again, people seeing the value,
Yeah.
Would you lecture if they asked you?
Would I what?
Lecture if they asked you?
Well, it depends on what.
Right.
Depends on what. I mean, right now I do coaching in speech.
Right.
And,
you should.
And so on. I'm doing a masterclass in Tobago in May.
Is that with Lisa?
With Lisa
Wickham branch? Wickham.
So yes, I do have I do help coach business executives and other people in presenting themselves more professionally, speaking more professionally.
Yes.
Speaking so that it could be understood.
Very important.
So yes, so
in
call me.
I want. You're saying a lot of things today. Yeah, for sure. So do you offer those master classes? Are they available for anyone in the public, or is it like a specific?
No, well, we don't. I don't do them often because it's a hell of a thing.
But even
the master classes are open to anyone.
Okay.
The courses are open to anyone. Those are individual.
Okay.
Classes are hard to manage.
Yeah.
Especially with professionals, you need to be flexible with time and so on. So.
And their egos.
Well, they leave the ego at the door because it's one-on-one. Yeah.
And you enjoy it very much?
So satisfying.
Really?
Well, you see, it speaks to people who have said to themselves, I want to have a better version of myself.
Yes.
And if you reach the point of saying, I want a better version of myself, you've reached the top of the mountain.
Yeah. Wow. There's another one for the cup. Because, and that is something, your personal mantra. It's always about doing your best and being your best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there so much more to learn for you?
Is there one?
So much more to learn because you're an avid learner.
Well, yes, I would like to be a vegetable gardener.
Would you?
Well, I mean, at home, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I try and it doesn't work.
Oh.
I keep trying and it's not
Really?
working. It would be nice. So, yes.
I'm trying to imagine you as a vegetable gardener, but you know what? I can see it.
No, I like puttering in the garden.
Yeah.
I love puttering in the garden.
You have a big
I
hat?
have lots of plants and so
You
on.
have a big hat?
No,
Oh.
no.
Messing up the hair. You should get the hat. Doesn't work for you.
We live in the sunshine. So my melanin and
Yes.
all those things are well attuned. So
Noted with thanks. Oh, Mr. Kalipersad, this has been an absolute honor, a privilege, and a pleasure.
well, I hope I at least amuse you for a while.
Oh, yes, very much. And more than that, I've learned some things, and I'm very happy to come away with what I have learned.
So tell me, what did you come away with?
I've come away with the fact that you are an avid learner, you're passionate about betterment of yourself. You're very deliberate in your speech, and that was something from your childhood which you carried through to today, showing me that you do value the lessons from your parents, specifically your mother, and that you have an eye and you have an ear for learning, for telling stories in various ways. You are able to take your love of learning and research, you've parlayed that into an extremely successful career, and now you're still using it to manage your mental health, first and foremost, but also to continue to help others.
And how does this help you?
It helps me because now I want to do the same in a different way.
And why do you think your audience would benefit from this?
I think my audience would benefit from this because, like me, they want to learn too.
So is this because of the parenting that you experience?
Absolutely. You know, my mother was a teacher. My mother was a primary school teacher. So, you see, we have an affinity already.
So you have switch roles here.
Yeah, I
and now the
you went back
psychologist.
into the role you're comfortable with, right? And also maybe the role you were meant to play as a psychologist. You know?
I hope your audience is not offended by my switcheroo.
We love that. We love that. So again, thank you so much for making the trek. Thank you, Tammy, for bringing him. We appreciate you. And, you know, I really do hope I get to see you again, you know.
Life is a mystery. Be prepared for anything.
I love it. So
Thank you very much.
I don't want to shake your hand. I want to hug you.
Oh my
Is that
goodness.
I don't know how you feel about personal space. Oh my God. Thank you so much. So how do we contact you if we want coaching? How do we find you? Look for you on Instagram.
Yes.
Okay. No problem. That is exactly how we found you.
Oh.
Yes.
So you're a troll.
No. Did you just troll me? Scream, we just had such a nice moment. But again, thank you so much. We do value you. We value all you've done and all that you continue to do. And I really do hope that you will be open to being valued in the ways that it comes once it's genuine. Yay! Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. It was the first time in a long time I've been super nervous. Still have sweaty palms. All right. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you to our extra special guest, Mr. Dominic Kalipersad. Thank you to Tammy for bringing him. Thank you for Ricardo for just having. This was really Ricardo's dream. I want to let you know this. Ricardo really wanted you to be here more than I did. Because he was like, what about Dominic Kalipersad? He reached out to you and you were like, okay. So look at him. Look at how comfortable he is. I don't want to be the only one. Yeah, are you? Yeah, sure. So thank you to Ricardo for ensuring that we reached out to this national treasure.
I'm just ordinary person.
I knew that would have made you a little. So, right, thank you to 519 for hosting us. We really appreciate the hospitality we've received here. 519 guys, C3 Center, Corinth, San Fernando. Come on down and check them out. You will not regret it. Okay, and until next time, I am JL Valdez, your host and counseling psychologist. Right, so remember, keep up with the mental health, actual factuals, and join us next time. Okay? Bye. And scene. Yay!